Greetings, peace be upon you. Welcome to our talk show, Imam Abdul Karriem Talks. We hope in the near future that we'll have invited guests on, not just me speaking, but have a comparative analysis of religion and our current social and economic climates as relates to our everyday life in terms of addressing solutions and not just problems. In our talk today, we want to conclude with the second part. The first part, of course, the title was The Creation of the Soul. And this is the conclusion, the part two of that. And so we begin with God's name, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer. We seek his help. We ask for his forgiveness and his mercy. Mighty and sublime is he. We openly bear witness and testify that there is nothing worthy of our worship except the one God, the creator of the heavens and the earth. And we bear witness in our tradition that Muhammad, the prophet, peace be upon him, is the last and universal messenger. We seek his help and his mercy and his forgiveness always, and we ask that we say what is appropriate for this occasion. As we left off, we were dealing with the soul and the many metaphors as relates to the soul. The soul of man is the thinking of man. You know, if the doctor declared that you don't have any mental activity, brain activity, pardon me, they call you a vegetable. So the only thing that separates us from vegetable life and any other form of life is our ability to think. The ancients have always said, think, therefore I am. And of course, the science label us as Homo sapien, thinking beings. So our uniqueness is our ability to think. So in relying upon Scripture, all Scripture, it comes to gives us to correct our thinking, to guide our thinking, and to challenge and complement our thinking. Never once think for me that I'm taking this opportunity to try to apostolize or to get you recruited to my form of rituals or my religion. That's not the purpose of this program. The purpose of this program is to point out to you that unless we identify first as human beings, any other label doesn't matter. The first religion for all of us should be the obedience to our human nature, to our natural disposition and constitution. These things we know came from the Creator without any man or any philosophy or any religion having anything to do with it. And so the thinking of man, and when I say man, I mean woman, is always being directed and misdirected. And so we rely upon, it's just like if you was to build a car and you create a manual for the car. The person who created the car, designed the car, certainly knows how to fix the car if he has a problem. And some people can fix it naturally, meaning that some people have a beautiful way of life and never been exposed to any type of religion, any type of modern philosophy. They live amongst themselves in harmony and peace, without any strife, without crime, without vandalism, without bigotry, without racism. But the majority of us, we live in a pluralistic society, and we interact with people of all shapes, forms, fashions, creeds, colors, etc. And so therefore, I've always been a person that was very curious and always wanted to know, well, who was right? I mean, you got all these people saying that they right. Well, is all of them right? And so the higher form of logic is the logic that the Creator gives. And I'm going to say God interchangeably. When I say God, I mean the Creator. We know ain't no man did it, and can't no man do it, and can't no man replicate it or do it. So there's no such thing as misguidance from what was created to guide us. It's our application and it's our perception of it that takes us off. So, I don't want to go back through the whole first part, but I did want to say this, that these metaphors that we're given, these analogies that we're giving about the soul, is not just talking about the internal aspect of the person, it's also talking about the external aspect. And so the natural progression of growth that we gave in the first part was the forming and the shaping of us in our abstract. And that forming and shaping of us in our abstract will lead to the forming and shaping of us in the concrete. But the abstract have more control over us than the concrete. The abstract have more power over us than the concrete. And the abstract have more support for the light than the concrete. So if we find ourselves in these terrible situations where we still having to tell people that we should be treated like human beings, that we should be given economic parity, that we should be given social recognition, we shouldn't have to deal with low and no self-esteem. So, and the reason why is because someone has interrupted the flow. If you would leave a child alone and let him grow in a natural environment, there's no way he's going to grow up to be something other than a beautiful soul that he was when we first saw him at birth. So, we believe in a shared freedom space. A shared freedom space means that I'm rich when I come here. I'm already wealthy at birth. Shared freedom space means that I have ownership in every public space in the United States of America. And as long as I have my good citizenship, I shouldn't be denied my freedom space. And we believe in a shared freedom space, meaning that I'm not trying to take your space from you, and you should not be trying to take my space from me. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men have been endowed. When I say that I've been endowed, that means that there's something that you can't give me, and that's something that you can't take away from me. That's something that the nature, that creation, that God himself has given me. He has endowed me with the right to have liberty and life and justice and freedom and equality. He has given me that. So these people who are upset because people want to stand up for their rights, they're insane. If the shoe was reversed, they'd be standing up for their rights. So we believe in the shared freedom space. And in my freedom space, I choose to be Muslim. In your freedom space, you might choose to be something else. And it's this diversity that we see in nature, not people arguing and fighting. And I'm talking about, you don't see grass and trees arguing and fighting with each other. You don't see birds unless it's a bird of prey, and even then he's not going to eat what he needs. But all of this harmony is here. Now, nature has a way of balancing itself too. We know we're going through this global crisis, this global warming, the ice peaks are melting. So nature has a way of balancing itself. And I guarantee you, nature is going to win every time. I don't care how big, how powerful man think he is, he cannot withstand tornadoes, hurricanes, earthquakes, rainstorms. They got a phenomenon in the weather now called a bomb cyclones. I ain't never heard that before. Bomb cyclones. You get ice, freezing rain, and 100 miles per hour wind, and floods all at the same time. Bomb cyclone. I was like, oh my God, this is woo. So we want to seek the harmony. So let me just say it. I'll just say it in English for the sake of time. It is He who created you from a single person and made of his mate of like nature in order that they may dwell together. When they are united, she bears a light burden, and she carries it about. When she grows heavy, they both pray to their Lord, saying, if thou give us a goodly child, we vow we shall ever be grateful. But when he giveth them a goodly child, they ascribe others a share in the gift they have received. but Allah is exalted high above the partners they ascribe to him. So in this reading, I can tell you right away, God is not being upset because you say that your child looks like you or your grandparents or something, in the physical reality. That's not what he's talking about here. I mean, I don't think God would be that upset because you claimed your child instead of giving credit to God. But on the surface, yes, you should. Whatever we have, we should be grateful. I mean, that's just an old lesson. I even heard Oprah Winfrey say, whatever's going on with you, just be grateful. Never give up gratitude. Once you give up gratitude, you're automatically going to lose. This world is designed, pardon me if I'm sweating a little bit, these lights are hot. This world is designed to keep us in gratitude. And when people see that you being happy and grateful, they automatically start attacking you. What are he so happy about? What's going on with you? That's why we keep quiet. I remember when I used to work on a job, every time I got a new car, I never would show up on work with my new car. I just keep driving my old raggedy car, because the minute you show up in something new, everybody's attitude changes. So God is telling us here, and we pray He bless us to give the wisdom in this. Saying when she grows heavy, they pray. And that's usually when we start praying, when we have a big issue on us, a big weight. A big burden. Yeah, normally that's when we start seeking help. When the water runs out, they say. But this weight and this burden is not just talking about monetary circumstances or what have you. This weight and this burden is how to establish my life. See, whether you say it overtly, covertly, subconsciously, that's all that's on your mind. We have an expression, we say, man, I'm just trying to make it. Trying to make what? I'm trying to make a life. We've been given life so that we can make a life. Not make a wish. And I'm not trying to, hurt anybody's feeling on the foundation. They have good things. But we can't go through life making wishes. We have to go through life making a plan. That's why where we at is called a planet. There was a plan involved. That's the whole purpose of where we're coming from and why we're reading from Scripture, to give these thoughts, these penetrating thoughts, these thoughts to make you think more. That we're on a planet because God had a plan in bringing us here. And He shaped and formed us and created the material world and gave it its boundaries, gave it its plan, and you can't change it. The laws of nature is designed to protect us and to usher us on into our destiny. So He gave man and woman this opportunity to be here, to grow and expand here, to create cities and cultures and civilizations here. And so in these words and these analogies, it's saying, okay, so that creates a burden, and she bears it. They didn't say the man bears it, even though we share in the burden. She bears. And this is an imperfect form of the word, of a verb. She bears. So that means that this burden is ongoing. Right now, we're fighting to have a cleaner earth, cleaner water. So much waste going on in the trash, the landfills. So much waste going on in our mind and the thinking of what we're viewing. So much waste, wasted time, wasted energy, wasted potential, wasted life. As the philosophers say, think, therefore I am. So she bears this burden, and then they turn and they pray. We used to make fun. We say, yeah, they took prayer out of school, but as long as they have final exams, they're gonna always have prayer in school. Everybody want to get some help at that final exam. But that was the reason why they did that. Again, this country here, and it may be others, I can only speak for where I'm at, want to separate church and state, and, religion and science. Yeah, if it's dogmatic, sure. But you can't separate what makes a person whole. That's why we have so many problems. You can't departmentalize a person's life. You have to accept their whole background, their whole reality, their whole life. And so, for me, understanding how I came here naturally through the natural birth process is also the same technique and reality that I want to use to have the same mental birth and the same physical material growth and development. So she bears this burden, and then they pray to their Lord that if you give us good, these are principles, you cannot make progress unless you go after the good. God says in the Holy Book, do not let the strutting about of people who are living corrupt life and love corruption because they have this outward appearance of success make you think that that's the way to success. That's temporary and that's fleeting. The real success is the success of your spirituality and your ability to live with yourself. Do you know how many people hate themselves? Do you know how many people hate their flesh? The real success of the mind is when the mind and the flesh can live in harmony together as husband and wife. And the mind and the flesh appetites and the mind appetites come together to make a beautiful meal. A meal that I wouldn't mind sharing with my child. That is insanity to give a baby beer and liquor and alcohol. I've seen it with my own eyes. That's insanity to give a baby weed, marijuana. That's insanity. Sorry, I don't mean to fuss. I'm not trying to fuss. I'm saying that in 2021, we should not be dealing with the same issues we have to deal with 75 years ago. 75 years ago, 100 years ago, still dealing with the same thing. If we still dealing with the same thing 100 years later, that's because we hadn't addressed what were the issues was 75 and 100 years ago. I cannot legislate love. I cannot make somebody love me. I cannot even make somebody respect me. But what I can do is love myself and respect myself so much so that it's going to create a barrier between me and that person that they'll be ashamed to even approach me. And I've seen it. The slaves of this country, my ancestors, did not get their freedom by chanting that they were black. They got their freedom by establishing themselves as a human being. They say, I'm human and I'm standing on that principle, and that's the only principle that will get us to the promised land. Everything else is going to keep us shortchanged. My human essence, my human nature, my human characteristics is my perfection, and that is the goodly child. Ain't that what we say? Ain't that what we want? We want a healthy child. We want a child with fingers and toes and ears, and we don't want a deformed child physically. So why are we accepting this deformity in other areas of our life? Shortchanging us from the great promise that we've been given. فَلَمَا أَتَّهُمَا صَالِحًا جَعَلْنَا لَهُ شُرَكَاءَ فِي مَا أَتَّهُمَا فَتَعَلَّ اللَّهُ عَمَّا يُشْرِكُونَ. But when he gives them this goodly child, the efforts in the African American community to gain freedom and justice and equality in the 30s and the 40s and the 20s and through Reconstruction produced an inertia in this society to respect us as a human being. Then the 60s came and we ran off all those good principles. We ran away from all of those good lessons learned. We ran away from all of those principles and values learned. Burn, baby, burn. Do what you want to do. It's your thing. When God gives us the goodly child, we forget and run off until the burden comes back to turn us back. I used to hear my father say all the time, say God is going to push his people by the tip of the unicorn. I don't think I'm sitting here trying to be all holy. That I'm not saying you can't have fun and you can't live life in certain areas. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about losing your dignity just to have fun. That's what I'm talking about. That fun consumes you more than your own self-respect. That carefreedness and lackadaisicalness, that you're not even interested in policies and in votes being cast and in laws being promoted. Oh, it ain't nothing to do with me, man. It has everything to do with you. If you never feel that you are an American citizen, that's why I said we believe in shared freedom space. If you don't feel that this world, this society, this city belongs to you, just like it belongs to every other person, every other race, you will forever be crippled and handicapped, begging and pleading at the big man's table for crumbs. That's what Lazarus did. Lazarus at the master's table begging for crumbs. You know, the punishment on the children of Israel wasn't just based on them worshiping the calf. The big punishment on the children of Israel came when they was cast out into the wilderness for 40 years. It was because they refused to fight for the life, to establish themselves in the material world. They said, no, Moses, you and God go fight those people. We're not going to put up a fight. And that's when they was punished. And that's when the punishment stays on us when we retrograde. When we refuse to stand up for our own establishment. There's no reason why our neighborhood should be broke down and poor. There's no reason why our children and others should be unemployed. We command wealth more than some of the top nations in this world. We generate over $1 trillion a year, and we're asking somebody for reparations. That is the reparations. I know you might not like what I'm telling you, but that's the truth. We'll get more respect when we tell them, keep your money, just get out of our way. How did the people make profit? Don't you know the wealth that we have now, having grown past the wealth that all our people had during Reconstruction? The same wealth that we got, that's right, the same wealth we got now with the Oprahs and all these other people, all these sports athletes, is equivalent when you use the index of inflation as the same amount of wealth that we had during Reconstruction. A lot of our children done left the farms. Acreage, 1,000 acres of land left to them. I don't want to be in no farm. I want to run to the city. I want to run to the big lights. I want to run to the fun and the play and the joy. I'm happy when I'm working. Matter of fact, work is worship. I'm going to get off my subject here. I'm dealing with this goodly child. Salihan ja'alla lahu shuraka. So he gives us the goodly child, and then we commit shirk. That's what I'm saying. This is not talking about you saying that your baby got good hair and baby look like so and so. Shirk is a mean word. Shirk is a bad word in Arabic. Shirk means that I'm associating something on the same level as God. That's shirk. And I don't think it's a play on the word Shrek in the movie. Same root word. Sheik is in there too. These people running here talking about they the sheik. Yeah, these sheiks are right. Milkshakes, that's what they are. Yeah, shirk is when you associate something with God. He has no associates. He has no equivalent. He has no partners. See, the reason why we don't think God is powerful is because we still see him through mythological concepts of God. Zeus and Thor and all these characters. That he can be slept, he goes to sleep, he can be woke up, he can be attacked. See, when I don't know if I said this before and I say this here. When God says that he created the heavens and the earth in 6 days, and the scientists say, y'all insane. That's impossible. I have the instruments here that proves that this thing have taken trillions and trillions of years to form. There's no way this was done in 6 days. And then most of us get offended. Oh, well, God said it. Don't question it. He said it. If he said it, that's good enough for me. I'm sorry, change my voice, but I had to emphasize some things. Yeah, but God is also the king of logic. He created science. So if he created science, why would he go against science? I'm trying to explain to you the power of God. You say, well, how do you reconcile that? If the book say he did it in 6 days and the scientists saying it take trillions of years, how do you understand that? That's why you need to come to my show more often so you can get that kind of understanding. See, we was taught get knowledge, get wisdom, but above all, get an understanding. Because when God talking, he's not talking the way we talk. He's talking from the authority of the Creator. And science is just a way of explaining what he did. So I ask you the question. If you're getting ready to do something, don't you think about it first? Well, I hope you do. You might be acting impulsively, but you still have to have a thought in there somewhere. So when God says that he created the heavens and the earth in 6 days, that means he thought about it for 6 days. And what he thought about has been unfolding for trillions and trillions and trillions of years. That's what makes him God. That he sit there and think about it, and he spent a whole day on us. Ain't that wonderful? He spent a whole day on man. So we'll conclude with this. Highly and glorified is he, the creator of all things. He's always in control. He is the only master of reality. And I hope that what we've given you will pique your interest to do your own research. You don't have to accept what I say. Do your own research. You should seek knowledge from the cradle to the grave. But if your mind is closed, there's nothing else. You can't get nothing in it if your mind is closed. And if you think that your program is the only program, I'm sorry, it's not. There's 365 degrees, or probably 365 days in a year. There's 360 or 65 degrees that the sun shines from. So that means there's 360 degrees of viewpoints, points of view. As long as my point of view, or my viewpoint, is pointing me to the goal. And the goal is to have a comfortable life within my own self. I have to find that peace. That's heaven. Heaven starts here. It don't just start there. They say hereafter, not thereafter. People chasing and looking for the heaven when the heaven is already inside of you. Look at the little baby. Ain't he in heaven? That baby is in heaven. You can't tell me that baby's not in heaven. We take the baby out of heaven. That baby is in heaven. He's in heaven because he knows that his rhythm that he's dealing with is enough of an inertia to sustain his life. It said, what profits a man to gain the whole world but lose his soul? And the only way you can lose your soul is you have to lose your mind. And the only way I can get you to lose your mind, I got to attack your behavior. See, Sigmund Freud, who was a master of human behavioral science, was a poor man. He was in poverty. All that research he did, nobody wanted to even fool with it. But his nephew, Mr. Edward Bernays, oh yeah, I'm dropping the name right now. Edward Bernays took his father's research, brought it back to America, and coined the word advertisement. He had the first advertising agency, Edward Bernays. And he used the research of behavior psychological science to even come up with the word propaganda. A hint to the wise should be sufficient. Why every commercial got to have sex appeal? Why every commercial got to have music playing? You know, in America, and I said I was concluding, when American industry used to make products for the consumer, cars, refrigerators, stoves, washing machines, etc., they were built to last. They didn't tap on you. They were built to last. So what happened? They said, oh, we need to make more money. So they started promoting fleeting products, but they gave it to us in the package wrapped that this is what your life should be. They used movie stars. And we left off giving people quality and substance. Now, pardon me, we left off giving people substance for quality. Producing cars that they know was going to tear up in a few years, so you had to go buy another car. That shouldn't be hard to believe. That's how I got to go get another phone now. Giving us stuff that functional obsolescence. Is that a bad? Yeah, that's a diabolical thing. Don't tell me it's just a good thing. Oh no, that's a diabolical thing. You gonna sell me something that you know is defective? I know we can't change so many things, but I'm just telling you how they got at us. They started there and it just went down the road. That's why our educational system is the same. I've been to public education, I'm talking about college level, and I've been to private education, college level. Same subject, two different books. Public education, they trained me to be an employee. Private education, they trained me to be an owner. Even we say, go to school to get a job. Job means just over broke. No, I should be going to school to learn how to get a business. If you aim for a business, you're going to get a job. And let me tell you something, with all due respect, white folks, and I have to put it that way, don't have all the answers. That's why we're in the mess we're in now. They need to step over and let somebody else who have the same experience, matter of fact, even more experience with how life is in this country, lead this country. I mean, I hate to get into politics, but you see the choices we have. You got one group, honestly, don't want you to have no freedom, and another group wants you to have all the freedom in the world with no restrictions. Two extremes. So, save yourself, save your children, your babies. Do like what my dad used to tell me, boy, cut that TV off and get a book. Put some sense in your head. And not let this world drive your senses and desensitize it. You know, the St. Valentine's Day massacre was only 5 or 6 people got killed. They call that a massacre. St. Valentine's Day Massacre was only a handful of people got killed, and they called that a massacre. What am I getting at? The value of life back then was of such that when 5 or 6 people got killed at one time, they called it a massacre. Now we hear a million people got killed. We just, oh man, oh, that's so sad. Okay, pass the cornflakes. So I'm pointing these things out because they need to be pointed out. And we thank you for your time. We appreciate you being a part of our audience. We need your support. Please send your donations. They will be used in the proper and correct form. I'm not going on vacation. I'm going to pay these people here that's helping me put this program